it's so clear that this was like a white supremacist land grab. And I know that people have a lot of concern about using phrases like white supremacy to describe what's going on with this ethno-nationalism in Palestine and in Israel. But I do think we have to highlight that it wasn't Sephardic Jews, it wasn't Mizrahi Jews, it wasn't Black and brown Jews, Ethiopian Jews, etc., that were brought to Israel and welcomed with open arms. It was Eastern European Jews. And so much of this project has been about incorporating Jewish power into hierarchies of whiteness, white hegemony, and white supremacy of we want access to this power pie as well. And so let's take the most whitest passing of our group and put them in a position to collaborate with other white supremacist nations, the United States and the UK. And it's been really effective in that so many Jews have taken the mantle of white supremacy and used their identity to police Black and brown populations. I mean, even the antipathy between Black people and Jews in the United States is horrifying.
Yeah. Well, you know what, at some point, and this is where I'm at now with like the Jewish people, you know, when are you going to be done being the victim? Because to me, it seems
it pays.
Well, and look, and to me, it seems, and there are real victims. Do not get, I mean, not to be, you know, saying that, but I'm talking as a group. Okay. At what point do you get to stop being the victim? And let me be clear. I don't, you know, look, anti-Semitism is not cool. I don't like it. But the truth is people aren't going to like us. They're going to hate us. They're going to say mean things. Our feelings might get hurt. Get over yourself. When there are institutions that are systemically anti-Semitic in place, a la like what we have here with race issues, then anti-Semitism becomes a real problem. Right now, you're just crocodile tears because people have been mean to us in the past. I get it.
Yeah.
But we're not the victims anymore. At what point do we stop?
And I do think let's place the blame even for anti-Semitism and rising global anti-Semitism where it belongs, which is on the shoulders of the Zionist ethno-national state of Israel. Every time Israel behaves as an aggressor, every time they are violent and abusive and genocidal, global anti-Semitism rises because Israel insists that it is the national representative for all Jews everywhere. And then it does horrific shit that violates human rights of a marginalized group. And people think, oh, Jews are inherently violent. Jews are inherently oppressive. And so, of course, anti-Semitism rises because people are seeing a state that claims to represent Judaism do evil, grotesque things to children. Like, and people will turn around and claim blood libel and claim that, it's just.
But see, nobody's calling them out.
Yeah.
Please invite me to come talk in Congress to you people. Please invite me to come talk to.
You'll have to be in Congress for that.
I don't understand why people. First of all, those people in Congress are our employees. They work for us. Okay, so why people cannot stand? I don't understand this. I really don't. And yes, I do understand the fear of getting death threats. Now, fortunately for you, you're in Nebraska, and the beauty of Nebraska is unless there's something I don't know, it's probably not like a hotbed of Israeli activity. Whereas here in South Florida, I do actually think about it. Like for me, even I go to Pilates and I get the stink eye from half the people in the place. So like for me, I do kind of think about safety, but I'm still not going to not do what I'm doing.
Katherine, one of the biggest problems that we've encountered, and of course, if you don't know, Jen ran for Congress in 2020 against none other than Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the absolute
she's horrible, right?
The absolute worst of the worst of representation within the Jewish community, and yet she couldn't just be content with being the face of AIPAC, which she is. She decided that she was going to move heaven and earth because she can't pass any bills in Congress and never has in 20 years. But she was able to get an amendment passed that says that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism.
Right, the resolution.
So that's not only does she stand on ceremony with that particular issue, but she actually stood on the steps of Congress. If you saw the clip on CNN where she said, if you don't sign on to this, you don't have a soul. And there are some deep-rooted bigoted overtones that come with that statement.
See, how is there nobody went up and said, you are insane, and how did all these people sign this? Well, there's some people abstained, but still, that's pathetic.
It's one thing if people are quiet, and a lot of people tend to be quiet. Why do you think people are quiet when it comes to somebody like her that breaches the line so deliberately and hurts the Jewish people in such untold ways?
I mean, I think part of this has to do with this sense of loyalty and betrayal, the balance of loyalty and betrayal within the Jewish community ourselves. Like, I don't know if y'all have been called capos or traitors or told.
Oh yeah, I'm the same as I turned in my Jewish friends and family to the Nazis. Yes, I'm that.
Yeah, correct. I've also been called a capo constantly. And there's this sense of, if you want to avoid being called a capo, you certainly can't criticize other Jewish voices on this. And then there's the kind of Gentile or non-Jewish community saying that if anyone criticizes a Jewish voice on this, they're being anti-Semitic. So either you're a traitor or you're an anti-Semite. And I think that's just being very effectively weaponized in sort of the cultural milieu in our discourse. And so that's why people like Debbie Wasserman Schultz can get away with saying horrific things, because the older generation of Jews who are very sort of respectability politicking at this time don't want to come off as traitors, and they want to, allow for some dissent, which is itself very Jewish. And then the population outside of the Jewish community is concerned that criticizing a very well-known Jewish voice in Congress is going to be perceived automatically as anti-Semitic. And there's just so little latitude for dissent. And fortunately, I think the groundswell and the sort of tsunami of dissent is rising on enough now that paradigm is shifting, where people can say, actually, anti-Zionism is not anti-Semitism. And because we've been saying this for 3 months and not 3 minutes, it has a little bit more heat to it and more weight to it. Whereas initially people would write that off and say, that's a fairly radical opinion. And so the perspectives that were seen as radical, October 10th, 11th, 12th, are now being seen as much more normative and central to the dialogue.
So, but it's just upsetting to me when I see her, because I feel like that's a representative of Jewish community. This is somebody who is in a very high position in our country that is representing Jews. And it's very upsetting to me that there's no, and by the way, there's 35 Jews in Congress, 35 or 38.
Listen, when you find out.
And not one of them is, no, that's, wait, the one girl, where is she from? She's from like Massachusetts or something. She begins with a B or Maine, but she at least didn't sign the thing. But it's like these people, nobody is standing up, but nobody was. How come there wasn't a single Jew in Congress standing with Rashida Tlaib?
There is a friend who, we're friendly with a handful of congressional representatives, more specifically their staff. And I've spoken to a few of them. And one in particular admitted that, we just don't want to feel the heat from DFI and
AIPAC and
DMFI, and of course from Dr. Evil himself, Mr. ADL Greenblatt. And so by that measure, it becomes, we want to say the right thing, but we know that they will have no hesitation to dump $5 to $10 million into a congressional race against us. We just had on Hill Harper, who's running for the Senate in Michigan. And he admitted that, one of the biggest donors to AIPAC offered me $20 million to run for Congress against Rashida Tlaib. Like, that's how serious this is getting. But it also speaks to the level of desperation that I think they're getting to. When they have to put that much money on the table in order to protect their cause.
I think they're desperate. Good.
I think that in the long run, it's a failing experiment. It's not going to work forever. It may. I made a New Year's prediction. I said, I think one person is going to break through in 24 that's going to be a real voice against the genocide, that's going to make it to Capitol Hill and is not going to give a flying F about the consequences of whether somebody comes after them or not. But I also think that one of the people that are there right now is going to get picked off. One of them is going to get picked off and get knocked out.
It's unfortunate. But statistically speaking, it's likely.
But if they have
money in a direction,
if they have to spend tens of millions of dollars to play whack-a-mole, I don't know how long they're going to want to do that. And especially since Claudine Gay is now out, and now you've got Neri Oxman, who is Bill Ackman's wife, who they are proving is basically doing the exact same thing. You will not be able, when the people eventually figure out the game, when the majority of people figure out the game, you can't put the cat back in the box. You can't do it.
Yeah, the coffers will eventually run out. And I do think, too, you need these two archetypes for like public focus. You need the sacrificial lamb of the person who said the right thing and was kicked out, and you need sort of the hero or that Herculean figure to come in and fight the good fight. And I do think we're going to see both of those things in 2024.
I hope so. I hope so. And I am personally not, I reject it now. I will reject it loudly, openly, in public, in front of other people. I really don't care. I am so sick of people using things. And I, again, will say anybody who thinks that one group's freedom implies your group's genocide, seek help.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.